My Gavan and Melonine, and well met indeed. I'm Archir Galadurthan, head of the modding team behind Divide and Conquer. Welcome back to the same as we continue on as Dol Amroth. Yes, sorry, I started and ended this last episode in exactly the same place as the last episode. And it made me think that maybe I just lost all of my progress. But no, Lord Imrahil, or Prince Imrahil, sorry, is making his way into Isengard's territory. So yes, of course, in the last episode, Adrian died. Adrian was an old man, though, and so we don't lament his passing as much. To go in honourable battle as he did, I think, is the best any one of us can hope for. And so Adrian will be remembered with Adriel's seat and indeed Adriel's haven down in the south. And also someone's recommended, I can't remember the full word, but it was Tir Adra Heath, I think, as sort of Adriel's watch. For a name, and I like that a lot. So what we're going to do is rename Minas Morgul into a Sindarian Adriel based name as well, because of course Adriel has been rather important throughout this campaign. Prince Imrahil will now gain an even bigger bodyguard size, as the faction leader, generally speaking, has higher security than the faction heir, so he will rise to have a huge army size as we go and knock on the door of Isengard. You may recall I toggled Fog of War, and Gondor is losing the western half of their land to Isengard. So we need to strip back Isengard's power, thus bolstering both Rohan and Gondor, and then they can turn on Isengard and do what must be done. For our own purposes, an army comes in the ship. They're going to join up with the now very sad Bornivnir and Istion, two of our nation's greatest generals, who will continue the fight into Mordor's territory and hopefully nip in and take Minas Morgul. We need to stop Gondor bordering Mordor so that Gondor can rise in power. And that's where we are. I believe I can end the turn, and so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and just leave it as it is. Today is the 2nd of December, so if you're wondering just when it was recorded, I keep meaning to add that as part of the introduction at the beginning to say when they are recorded, because irrationally, though I know it is, one of the things that annoys me the absolute most about YouTube is when people comment on videos that are sometimes 4 or 5 years old, and they'll comment without any, oh, I've completely forgotten the word I need to say. They will comment without referring to that which they are commenting on, and it will mean absolutely nothing to me. And invariably, they will comment just to say that something is wrong. People rarely go to 5-year-old videos and comment and say, "Oh, this is excellent, I hope it can continue." But people will comment on 5-year-old videos saying, "Oh, you said that wrong." That's an annoying feature of humanity, and one we can't avoid. So I was hoping to try and put the date at the very beginning of every episode so that these people would hopefully, even if they only catch the first few seconds, they would know straight away that this video is, say, 5 years old, for example. And that would solve many, many problems for my sanity. Context! Context is the word I was after. People comment without context. And when the video is old, you just don't really know what they're talking about anymore. Right, the army is here. Captain Hisalthor. But we can't let Mordor... Oh, look at that. Right, we can't let Mordor fight, but we also don't want our army to be separated. So we'll leave behind those that are beyond saving, really. There we are. Now our army rises. Oh, you've been rather caught out, haven't you, Rukdug? What a name. Rukdug, or Rukdug, I suppose is probably the pronunciation. He has got Olokai and Lok Gamprim, which is just amazing, these late-game Mordor armies. It's nice to see late-game Mordor armies that aren't just 50 units of Uruks over and over and over again. It's really nice to see late-game Runic and Haradrim forces in there. And what I would really like to do, because Mordor, someone was commented on the developer diary recently and said that they are blown away by how Divide and Conquer has routinely enhanced and improved and polished on the older factions. And they were suggesting that there is now not any faction that hasn't been reworked and revamped. And I'm afraid to say that there is one standout faction that, after version 5 releases, will be the only faction to my mind left that has not been revamped by us, the modding team, and it is Mordor. Mordor are almost in, apart from 1 or 2 unit differences and things like that, they are essentially the same Mordor that you would play as if you played Third Age Total War. There is just not enough of a difference between the nations, the Third Age Mordor and the Middle-earth Total War Mordor. Oh, sorry, do I mean Divide and Conquer? Yeah, yes I do. Moria also have currently got the award for having the least change from the base game, but Moria are about to be overhauled, so by the time version 5 releases they won't be overhauled. Now, we don't plan on really overhauling. Not every faction needs to be completely revamped. We're going to offer these 2 up as fodder and hopefully try and stop the trolls with them. Not everyone needs to be completely, from the ground up, thought about again. But polished nations can be... It's worthwhile giving them a coat of polish. And that can come in the form of by simply removing the biggest bugbears with that nation. Take the things that everybody likes the least, twist them and turn them on their head so that they are no longer hated. Consider, for example, the Total War Warhammer 2's release an update to the Wood Elf DLC. Everyone and their dog would moan through their back teeth, quite rightly, that the Wood Elf faction, despite being a nation who are supposed to play tall and who should be the last nation in the game who are designed to paint the world with their colour, that was how you had to play as the Wood Elves, because you needed amber for basically everything, and the only way to get it was to conquer everything. And that's not how they should play. So the Wood Elves haven't been completely overhauled. They've just been tweaked so that they play in a way that they should play. And that's the same sort of thing that we're going for with our factions. Just that level of polish. Now, in some cases, it does require a full overhaul. But in other cases, it doesn't. But Mordor could do with something, is of course what I'm getting at. And the thing that I would like Mordor to be is kind of the antithesis of the Dunedain. Or not antithesis, because that's the direct opposite. Oh no, that is exactly what I mean. Yes, there's your word for the day, antithesis. I'd like them to be the counterpart to the Dunedain. So where Aragorn can walk the earth, conquering and claiming land, but also forming alliances with the free peoples that he comes across, we would like Mordor to have a similar feature, essentially, but just in the reverse. But we need to find a way to do it that doesn't step on the Ardenaim's toes, because of course the Ardenaim have a feature that lets them conquer human factions. It doesn't work for orcs, it only works for human factions, and that may well be enough of a leeway, to be honest. But theirs lets them conquer human factions. The orcs of Gundabad have a system that lets them conquer orcish factions, and they can train orc units if they can't conquer those nations. So with both of those, you're incentivized to conquer other nations. But what we want to do, and something we've done with the Northern Dunedain, who are now, of course, just called the Dunedain, that is their name now. What we've done with them is, instead of having to conquer your allies, using the mercenary system, we've set it up so that instead you need to actually be allied to your allies, and then they will fight for you. And that's a better system. That's what we want to try and achieve. Look at that. That's a pathetic little addition to the battle, isn't it? The enemy is pulling back on top of the hill and consolidating their forces, but that's fine. So we need to think of something like that for Mordor. And I mean, it won't be a great challenge, but I would really would like Mordor to be the kind of nation where you can just get a little bit of basically every evil nation. And we need to think up interesting ways to do that. It shouldn't just be ally with Rune, here's half of Rune's roster. It's never going to be anything like that. But Mordor is one of the easiest campaigns in the game. Far and away one of the easiest campaigns in the game, and it should be one of the easiest. I've discussed this many times before, but Sauron was set to entirely conquer the world were it not for the actions of a few puppeteers, if you will. Aragorn, Gandalf, of course, being primary. But also the actual attack on... Well, you couldn't really call it an attack, but the plan to destroy the ring. All of these features combined were brought about Sauron's downfall. Sauron was never going to lose through sheer force of arms. Now, some of you may try and argue erstwhile, may try and argue that that's not the case. But as we know from the discussions taking place before the Battle of the Black Gate, or the March on the Black Gate, whatever they call it, they all well knew that that was a suicide mission. The purpose, the sole purpose, was to draw Sauron's forces out and let Frodo get to Mount Doom safely. They needed to destroy the rings. And so in this situation, where the rings are unlikely to be destroyed, it makes complete sense to my mind that the good nations would really lose, and Mordor needs to be powerful. If you're playing as Mordor, you're playing as them specifically because A, you might quite like Mordor, but also you don't want to be playing an underdog story. You're not the underdogs. Mordor is the most powerful entity in Middle-earth at the time of the War of the Ring, and they are brought down through the combined might of Gondor, Dol Amroth, Rohan, obviously a wizard, multiple wizards in fact, because we don't really know what the blue wizards actually did, and they may well have had more of a play in it than we know. So all of that is my little lore reason as to why Mordor can't be hard, because it would just be wrong for Mordor to be difficult. It is a power nation. So what we can do instead is make them interesting and make them fun through variety rather than difficulty. Those are the two ways of keeping people's attention, variety and difficulty. You're either playing because you love the challenge and you want to fight against all the odds to overpower this mighty enemy and claim the sort of glory role in Middle-earth. Be the most powerful nation against the odds. People like that. People like that a lot. The alternative is that you want to play as this faction because it just has so much choice. There's so much fun to be had. There's so many different ways of playing it. And I think it is fine for Mordor to step on a few other nations' toes and play with a really big roster by borrowing troops from other factions. I really don't think that is a problem. And so that is kind of the way in my head I think it will go. But we need to think up a fun way of... It won't be for version 5. This will be for the version after version 5. Or if indeed it will be called version 5, it might be called version 1, because as we've discussed, Middle-earth Total War is hopefully on the cards. But anyway, it'll be the next version, and we're focusing on Moria and the Wild Men at the moment, of course. Right, the enemy is kindly charging in. Apologies, I've spoken for like 5 solid minutes while nothing has really happened. I shouldn't really have done that. But I just get so carried away when I get to talk about DaC. I should have videos where I just talk about DaC and not put it into these. But then actually I think it's quite good to have little DaC discussion in the background while we're playing DaC. I think it fits really well. Right, I want you to target those Olokai, please. And if you can hit those halberds in the back... Oh, the Olokai haven't got caught up on our cheap unit. Bugger. Right, Seaward Footmen. They're not really... Oh, you're going to get massacred. Those Olokai are going to do so much damage before they die. You can all fire at whatever you like now. Right, what have we over here? Halberds, Loke Gamprim, and halberds are moving in as well.
If we continue like this, we will smash the enemy.
They've tied up some units, but not great. Oh, the pikes have been hit as well. Oh, no. Pikes do obviously still get a bit of an advantage against trolls. The trolls have a large hitbox. The pikes can prod at them from far away, but it's minor. It's so minor. You really, really, really need armor piercing to take down trolls. And if you haven't got armor piercing, then arrows or javelins or siege, and if you have none of those, then just simply throw units at it and hope they do what you need them to. I think we're getting shot by someone. Black Uruks aren't very happy though because they don't have a general, and even Black Uruks are susceptible to morale loss. Look at the Blackroot Vale firing away, that's so good. Hitting the trolls, and if they don't hit the trolls, they're hitting the halberds behind. That's what we like to see. Alright, you fellows, charge into those Uruks. What have we over here? You Seaward Spears. Oh no, you're Haven Guard. Right, let's get you involved. Ah, there's the Seaward Spearmen. Right, so they're holding them back. The Loke Gamprim. Haven Guard. Do you think you can get to them? Because they're pikes now. Pikes are problems. There's a halberd battalion there as well. No, let's free up these 2 units by charging into them while you've got the chance. Hitting them in the back will probably cause them to break and flee. The Ologai are smashing us. Right, we'll use our first cavalry unit to hit into those. And Amrothian Squires. Yeah, you hit into those. Get the Gondor Cav Militia to come up the back. Yes, they routed as soon as we hit them. That's fantastic. That's what we wanted to see. Oh, the Anfilas and the Seaward are being offered up as pawns. Oh, but the cavalry lines are thumping into the Uruks on the hill, which is good. Men of Pinnith Gelin. See, I mean,
half the enemy force remain.
It is difficult not to input my own bias into the mod, because I do have a lot of sway in how DaC plays out, in the way that it works. There are a lot of things on the modding team that to be completely blunt, only I know how to do. And obviously that gives me a bit more creative freedom in those aspects. But we do try and discuss everything together. But the point of my story is that I love diversity. I absolutely love having a roster like this, and then you've got a couple of Gondorian units fighting in there. We could have had a couple of Rohirrim units in here as well. I really, really like that. And so that is something I strive for a lot of nations. You don't want to go over the top with it. It's 1 or 2 units is always a good balance. But you can risk going over the top with it. But I just love that aspect. I like, because then you can play with your roster for 100 turns, 150 turns or so. Really get to know the strengths and weaknesses of your roster. And then once you feel a bit sort of fed up with the units you've got, lo and behold, there's more units available to you that you can then use. And I really like that. And which is why it's quite prominent in the mod. But also, it is one of the only few things we can do to create interest and difference and diversity amongst the rosters. There's only so far scripts can take you. And the problem with scripts is you always risk slowing the game down. For every script that is added to the game, the turn timer takes longer to process. And in most cases, it adds maybe a second, if that. But then all of those seconds add up, and then before you know where you are, your turns are taking 30 seconds, whereas the base game, they take 10 or 15. And you've got to find... You've got to strike a balance and not just rely always on scripts. Right, we're going to hopefully get the Gamprim to turn around, and because the guardsmen and the things have attacked them. And then when they turn around, we'll hit them. Those halberds up there need dealing with. Oh, those oligarchs are smashing us. Send in the Cav militia. Have you turned around yet? No. They are absolutely set on just getting hacked to death. They're in the worst matchup possible. Haven Guard hitting pikes on their flank. This is just going to be a massacre. Like, what are they doing? We've got them so terrified of our cavalry that they're willingly meleeing themselves to death. Although we are about to get hit with the halberds. Maybe that was their plan all along. Together, knights, come! Battle of Middle-earth has provided so many voice lines for this mod, it's been fantastic. Now, I was looking at the name Middle-earth Total War and the copyright issues, and basically everything that is everything in the Lord of the Rings is copyrighted and owned by an entity known as Middle-earth Enterprises, which is a section of the Saul Zaentz company. It used to be called Tolkien Enterprises, but it renamed to Middle-earth Enterprises, and they're based in California. So they follow American copyright law, which is the first point, which is annoying because I'm English and so was Tolkien. So it's very disappointing that his entirety of his intellectual property is now held by an American company. Not because I hate Americans or anything, but because, of course, I don't know anything about American law. Whereas at least with English law, I know where to begin. I have access to the various government websites and I know how to interpret our law because I am an English lawyer. So that would have been better. But from what I can essentially see, if we were to call our mod Middle-earth Total War, and even if we called it Third Age Total War, in any of those ways, we are strictly speaking supposed to ask Middle-earth Enterprises if we are allowed to. And it doesn't matter that we do not make any money. And I think to date, the only reason Third Age Total War hasn't really been clamped down on is because it's just not really worth their time. But Middle-earth Total War maybe could possibly create a bit more of a problem just because it's more overtly Lord of the Rings. On hearing Third Age Total War, that could really mean a number of things. It doesn't have to instantly mean, oh, they're charging all the way over there. Oh, I didn't realise that. Right, they weren't looking away because of our cavalry, they were looking away because of our reinforcements. So there might be complications with calling it Middle-earth Total War, but we would never know. We just have to wait and see. Even with that information at hand, I still think that it's better to rename it to Middle-earth Total War, just so that everyone knows what we're about, who we are, what we're doing. But we'll see, we'll see. Time will tell. I won't bang on about it. Right, charge into the back of those and get those to rout, please. Oh, hang on. Are they facing into us? They are, aren't they? Oh, bugger, yeah, they turned around. Alright, we just lost a load of squires for no reason. Where are the damned oligarchs?
Our ally lies dead. Without their general, they may... The battle is very much in our favour. Victory will be ours.
Run away, run away, run away. Oh, nice. Oh, fantastic. That was killer. Alright, all three of you hit those Loke Gamprim and hit them bloody hard. What about the rest of you? Is that it now? Yes, everything that's left is in front of us now. Seaward Spearmen. Isengard! That's how they should talk. That's how they talk in my head. Isengard! All that salty air doing a number on their throats. Right, you guys hit those halberds. You're hitting those halberds. You're running over there. You're running over there. Speed her up.
If we continue like this, we will. The enemy army flees.
There we are. They're running, and the Gamprim are broken.
That'll teach the cowardly dog to turn tail and run. Be awed by the
We've lost a lot more there than we needed to.
Today.
And no one really shone as a victor, but that's because the bloody Oligarch, isn't it? Tying everyone up. The highest kills went to 73. Havengard. No surprises. Because they are the monsters of Dol Amroth's roster. Although, to be honest, if we can get the Tirith IR units out and the Talon Knights, then the Havengard get outclassed. I also do like things like that. Obviously, we removed the barracks events, so later game units do come in earlier now anyway. But I always liked that we allowed 1 or 2 elite units, usually per faction, to be trained straight away, so that you didn't have to just rely on trash for 50 turns. You could get something to lead your army of rubbish. But we lost a lot more forces there than we really wanted to, given how small those 2 Mordorian armies were, and given the size of the armies that stand before us on the banks of the Anduin. So, yes, we lost a lot more than we really wanted there, and a couple of our units are now almost non-existent. So, is it worth popping them in there? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. What we want to try and do is get onto that bridge as quickly as we can, although you can actually cross this river in 3 places. Which is a lot. Oh, and Cirith Ungol has a giant garrison as well. And remember, you can actually get around the side of Minas Morgul now, which allows Mordorian forces to attack anyone who is sieging Minas Morgul. And that is unfortunately a gameplay change, because if we bring the mountains into where they're supposed to be and you shut down Minas Morgul, you can completely negate any threat from Mordor by simply sieging. Whereas, and think of it as a sort of back entrance, if you will, that comes down in from Mordor. Isengard are going to throw everything they can at us over there as well to try and stop our advances. How many troops can we train up here? We've got 2 more pike units on the way. We've got quite a sizable garrison in Dol Amroth, ready to give us another set of troops. And we've got another general we can take there as well. Now, someone suggested, and I think I would agree, that Elfir should now come out and join our forces, because he will get a larger bodyguard size as well, so we can maximise the use of our fantastic bodyguard units. And see, we don't need to train another ship, because he'll be back in Dol Amroth by the time those units are ready. I don't think we have any other units. Oh, we could get some archers. Don't have the money for them at the moment, but we make 10,000, so they'll be on their way. Oh, and we've got those units coming from Etheland as well. That's good. That's good. Etheland. Right, I think Prince Imrahil is going to be attacked, so we've got to watch out for that. Spending so much time talking about DaC, we lost way too many forces in that attack. Should have tried to move the archers in and just loosed every arrow we had against the Olokai. Our losses there were almost all Olokai. It's really disappointing that Medieval 2 does not let you see the kill tally of your enemy, because we would get an idea then who actually did the damage. And in that case, I would put my money on it being the Olokai, to be honest. They're such a difficult unit to deal with. Such a difficult unit. If you do have any particular thoughts on how you think Mordor's sort of union of evil, which is a name I've come up with literally then on the spot, and probably won't be the name, but for now we'll call that the working title. If you can think of a nice and interesting and fun way that the union of evil can take shape, then do let me know. And it can't be too script heavy, and it needs to be alliance-based, not conquer-based. So that, as I say, it then acts as a counterpart to the Dunedain, and not just Sauron conquering everyone and saying, hey, you're in my army now. Right, that's not a particularly fantastic army for this stage of the game. There are 3 Uruk-hai infantry, Uruk-hai units, but there's also clan spearmen. There's reavers in there who are early tier and can be taken down by cavalry easily, which is handy, because we have a shed load of it. Obviously, Uruk-hai pikemen are a real threat, and we're very, very scary unit for us to be up against with such cavalry heavy rosters. But the bodyguards of Isengard are just sword and shield as well, so I think we should be alright. Let's give it a go. The first battle between the nation of Isengard and the Principality of Dol Amroth, where we are outnumbered nearly 3-1. But with the cavalry of Rohan telling us all that we need to know about Isengard and how to fight them, I think we'll be all right. We also, this is our first look at, we got an extra Rohirric unit we didn't have before, didn't we?
The enemy are bringing
Or had we already used the Aered Lancers, actually? Welcome to the now Isengardified. It's not really, this is just what a Rohan castle looks like. Has a bit of a southern European flair to it. Which is ironic, really, because the Rohirrim are based on the Anglo-Saxons. Righty. But then we're not worried about things like that. Now, what we're going to do is not worry too much about the reinforcing army just yet, and just line everyone up. Now, the Rohirrim archers, they're new to the fight today. We'll see how they perform. Are they coming out? Are they coming out really slow? Oh, they've got wargs. Oh, bugger. Where's the rest of your force? That is it. That is the garrison army. Oh, dear. Why do they always do that? What is wrong with the AI? Why do they always try and walk away from the castle? Right, what we're going to do then, instead, is take the army and move to meet the reinforcements. And we'll deal with them, because they're in a bit of a disarray at the moment. They are in a bit of disarray, not of a disarray. Right, there we are, we're all here. Welcome, everyone. You guys pull around to the right. And we'll group and ungroup you. You guys go over there. And then we've got these 4 here. Pull back to there, group and ungroup. The cavalry archers obviously aren't going to be charging into anything anytime soon. We want to kind of force the army to separate out and split apart, and then we can pick these units off one by one. So those spear guard there. Now you go round like that. You hit into them. You can take on these orc hunters, and so can you. Swing her around. Over here we've got Uruk-hai infantry. Charge into those. Run over there. Run over there. You hit those orc hunters. Uruk-hai crossbows, take those out for me, please. Yeah, both of you smash into those Uruk-hai hunters, particularly Imrahil, because I think they're targeting you with the crossbows. Oh, look, the Rohan banner just came across the screen. That's brilliant. Oh, nice, very, very nice. Right, and over here, what have we got? Hit those orc fighters. Hit those raiders. No, don't hit the pikemen. Go for the spearmen. You go around the back. You're not doing anything. You're not doing anything. You're not doing anything. Pull you out. Archers keep running around the back. And what of Imrahil and the main army there? Pull away. You guys go both go back in. Aered Lancers. This is the unit we really want to get involved. You can hit those Reavers. That should do some good damage. You might catch those pikes on the flank as well, which is good. Pull out over there, pull out over there. It's very difficult at night time to really see the army, isn't it? You go over there. You go around the back. Hit those Reavers. You can go in and hit those Reavers. Imrahil, how are we doing? Not really doing anything at the moment. Oh, you got really beaten. What on earth happened to you? Hit that Uruk-hai infantry. Oh dear, we've lost almost as much as they've lost. Oh, and our cavalry got caught in melee that I didn't notice. How did you guys do over there? Don't be charging into that pike unit if you can help it. This is just carnage. I hate battles of this micro intensity. Tempted to pull much of the army back to try and form a more solid wall again, to try and get a bit of a hold on this. Nope, you guys are dead. I'm just going to let you die. Look, those clan spearmen want to be charged into. You can come over and support, and you should be able to hit those Reavers. The Reavers have no defense against cavalry charges. You should be doing so much better than that. Alright, let's try and pick off certain units one at a time and really just crush their soul. 7 of you, I'm afraid, are probably going to die, but keep the enemy from shooting at me. So that's that entire back section charging into those infantry, and they have just taken it on the chin. Oh dear, oh dear. That's so much of our army there, not doing anything. Alright, you hit those reavers again, please. Come down here, come down here. Who are you? Oh, Gondor Cav Militia. 3 of you go for those. Oh, why aren't you charging properly? It's like they just don't want to win. Who's still in there? 44 of them. Cardinal Sin. Oh, Jesus. That Uruk-hai infantry just takes every charge like it's nothing. What? Mordor is so crap. They capitulated every time this army hit them. I don't think we're going to win this. It's really taking a turn. Where are the other ones fighting over there? How have you killed those reavers? Ah, yes, there we are. The reavers don't have that charge resistance. That's good to see. And the enemy is now chasing our cavalry half the world away. I am going to group all of them up now. Pull over there. Keep running away. Keep hitting those unending pikes, if you would. And you 3 are the other unit. You're together on the right-hand side. Let's pull you out. So we're meeting Isengard for the first time and learning that Isengard is very good at taking cavalry charges. Let's try and actually flank this infantry unit then. So squires, and you hit those spearmen. Cut back in. Oh no, see that they just got caught on the side and didn't do as much, but they did still do relatively well. Could have been worse.
We've lost half of our
I think
men.
we might need to consider running
The
away.
enemy are badly bloodied. They have lost half their men.
Pull our forces back to Rohan and go back with our tail between our legs to the Anduin.
Defeat seems almost certain.
I would agree, narrator man, and I don't think we're going to chance this anymore. Prince Imrahil's first battle in charge of his army as the prince of our nation, and it is a sad, sad retreat. Alright, if I tell all you to withdraw, where do you try and go to? Oh, God, no. Don't be morons about it. We've got to get everyone out. Where do you try to withdraw to? Oh, good. Right, they're going to the back. So, you guys are coming around as well. I mean, we could just exit, I suppose, but I think you get more troops out alive if you withdraw manually. Oh, look, they're desperate to run out the middle of the map rather than... They're only going to... all you need to do is run over there and then not worry about it. You're running straight into the infantry. To dodge the infantry.
Our men have fought long and are becoming tired.
There we are. I think we've got them all out. Oh dear, very disappointing indeed.
We've been dealt a stinging defeat.
Who knew that Isengard was so good at dealing with cavalry charges? And also, of course, I'm not a great cavalry commander, not when the army sizes get that big. But then we've defeated Mordor armies left, right and centre with this army. Airhead Lancers took 152. Imrahil only killed 64. It was, I'm sure that it wasn't Isengard's defensive prowess, but rather my very poor attempt to control an army in that instance. I think we shouldn't have gone as close to the enemy, although I don't think that really mattered. Cavalry obviously needs to flank, it needs to hit in the rear and the sides, and I just don't think I separated the groups off well enough.
We must yield.
But we've pulled back to safety. Imrahil is alive. And now Rohan and Gondor are going to have to do what they can Because Imrahil is going to run away now and hopefully sneak back past Minas Tirith. Oh, the Hornburg has been sieged.
Ready your weapons.
You can go and stand on that bridge. Because look at these armies. I've got to worry about these armies. I need Gondor to attack East Osgiliath and get Gondor's armies involved. Oh, Adrian still building a library. We'll go for a school. Lynn here is ready to upgrade. We can actually do that. Some campaign first. And Imrahil just gained a trait that says he has no fear, which is good. Because he ran away. Oh, look, we can get Royal Guard. So we can supplement his army. And we could just keep him going. I don't know how long they take to retrain again, but... Isengard is really washing over Rohan. But anyway, whatever the course of action here, it is for the next episode. For that is where I'm going to end this one. So I do hope you've enjoyed today's episode, and I do hope you'll have some ideas about where to take Mordor in the future. But until we speak again, dear friends, Navar Naden Perimad Melonin, and farewell.